Okay, so shelter turnaways are a place for you to document when people need to be turned away from emergency shelter because there's a lack of bed space or a room that can house a family that's in need of emergency shelter. So to get there, I'm going to click services and then turnaways. And there's not a ton of data you need to enter, but this is something that's entered grouped. I shouldn't say you don't want to. If you can, if you want to, but most providers enter this on a quarterly basis. So at the end of the quarter, they indicate the date is the last day of the quarter. So I'm going to say I'm going to enter data from January 1st through March 31st. So I'm going to make the date March 31st or the end of that period. If you do it monthly, you could enter a record for every month using the last day of the month. And I just want to enter a grand total of adults that I needed to turn away from emergency shelter during the quarter due to lack of bed space. So I'm going to say 15 adults, 20 children, and I'm going to say this is one area where you may have to split up the record. Maybe I was able to refer these folks to another shelter. So I'll say yes. But then maybe there was one family, so I'm going to make the same date, 3/31/24, where I just could not find any open beds anywhere in the region, unfortunately. Luckily, we found a place of a family member that they were able to stay. But for that family, I'm going to say no. I was not able to refer to another shelter. There was just nothing available, no matter how many phone calls I made. Um, and I'm going to save that record. And the search field again will list, this actually only lists the last 30 versus 90 days. So I'm going to change that to the last 3 months. And now it shows the records that I just entered. And I just want to emphasize this is really important. And this is actually required if you receive a FIPSA or Family Violence Prevention and Services Act grant from DHS. This is really important to know. This speaks to the need for shelter in our communities. The higher that turnaway number is, that gives us more leverage to say, look at how many people we had to turn away. It's not it's not very time consuming to enter it. I understand it can be time consuming to maybe track the number of people over a month or a quarter or any period of time. And I can sympathize with that. But know that if you can get this into InfoNet, it is really helpful for really helping us assess the need and what resources are needed in order to better serve survivors of domestic violence. I think this is skipped a lot. And the measuring safety report that the network puts out each year, I know there are some shelters that haven't been entering this data, but I just want to emphasize again the importance of it. It really helps speaks to a service gap in our communities. So that's my plea to enter that as much as you possibly can. And from here, you can also edit or delete records. If I need to change this, I can do that by just editing whatever I need to after checking the edit box and then save. And that's all there is to it. So that is your shelter turnaway. Before I conclude this segment, I want to also emphasize it is only due to not having space. There may be other reasons why you can't provide someone with emergency shelter. Those other reasons should not be documented here. This is strictly due to lack of space. So I just want to be clear about that.